Good morning, class. Welcome to Homeroom with Unk and Market Monk. So, morning, P. How's your week?
Really good. Just hit big on a few smalls and just ones we've been on. PCT was a pretty big one for me.
Yeah.
Redfin been in for a while, and then yeah, RH on on
Oh
earnings
yeah. So,
just kind of made my week. So yeah, good. Good overall. Market is it's a little stronger to the upside than I had expected. It's been really, it's erratic. I mean, you'll see stats. Oh, it's its worst week since whenever, and then it's its best week since whenever the very next week. So, um, just it's easy if you don't have any kind of plan, pivots, levels, consistency in your approach. This can be some very difficult conditions, and I think you're seeing a lot of people getting eaten up by it.
hey, definitely haven't gone outside the last high or outside the last low yet. So we're definitely still in that consolidation. But I'm with you. The moves north are they're a lot more violent than normal. Very
Yeah,
quick. I still don't think we've had two straight down days. Um, like really good push down days in most things, and that stands
right.
out for me. With you on the Redfin and PCT. It's nice when our styles cross paths a little bit on that kind of stuff. PSNY play Wolf, all that good last week, even EV Go. But you know me, I'm over here trying to make the 10% grade again, especially in this environment when I'm waiting for the market to truly decide. And I think we have decided. We'll talk about that a little bit when we do get into SPY, but still don't feel like we're going anywhere fast. A lot of range to figure out, it seems, on these plays. But 560 again. That was the end. A lot of end of the year targets keep popping up. That's what I'm noticing.
Yeah, yeah. No, yeah, definitely. And for me, another big, pretty big thesis was the Dow Jones heavy hitter stocks. I thought they were going to have a good week, and um, DE did. It's kind of knocking on 400 again. Cat's been really strong. So there's those, and then caught a really good move in solar, and the I don't think it's a coincidence that solar real estate home builders, have been taken off because we talked about it's all about rate cuts with them, and in their pullbacks, the flow kind of reset, and now you're getting that optimism again, and stocks improve before conditions do. Um, so there's still a lot of range in those. Still, I think there's a real opportunity in some kind of high beta mid caps. I think Roku's a little ahead of the curve on that, but there's some others that I think could you could see pop 20-30% in a month, something like that.
Yes, I had two notes today, and the second one is distracted versus staying on things, and we're definitely. I mean, that's consolidation is like that moves up for me. If it was a top 10 note, it's a top three note. That like you're gonna have to buy on the sad days and sell on the good days, and it's in that consolidation. There's range. So if you're chasing something that moves that 20 or 30% and it's not news and there's not levels, probably staying inside the box on the weekly in general, or rejecting the last high on the weekly, or
Yeah,
something along that line. And usually you don't have too much room after that initial 20 to 30% run. You kind of enter a 50-50 trade or a coin flip trade at that point. And you just kind of, I guess, you don't mitigate your risk properly when some of these boring, just frying pan bottom or oversold charts are just hang out there for a week, hang out in Piton for a week, hang out in PSNY for a week or two, and see where you are, and learn how to manage a trade from
um,
there.
that's that's one of the reasons that I don't really think about daily goals a lot because I mean yeah, there is a certain number. If I can hit it in the morning, that's good. But a lot of a lot of this stuff you do park for a week, and it's more about how you're doing on the month or a longer time frame. It's like a chart. I mean the longer time frame is more more significant. So yeah, you park, you DCA, you don't. Well, right now oil. I don't worry about oil every single day. I'm not on the minute chart with 1% moves really carrying that much. It's just a longer range plan, and it takes time to build that. You're not going to get the overnight Nvidia going up 7% kind of thing in an oil stock, and you know, but uh, you know, consolidation under our spots, or you know, just getting way oversold. I mean that in the long run, like you're gonna make some good trades doing that. So um, I think you just have to have some patience on a lot of these things. PCT took patience, Redfin took patience, but they when you get the payoff, it is worth it.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, those both of those trades in general, if you do stick to a hard plan with our levels, you're even if you started buying that 5 months ago, you weren't red too often in those plays.
Yeah,
So it's having that long term management plan, and I a lot of times try to keep it simple, and I hope everyone else does, because if you're constantly over there thinking how much more does this have to go, and how long should I hold this? I mean, just make it simple and cut half of it. I mean, that's the best place to start. If you can't scale in and out, or you don't know how, just cut half, put your stop loss at entry. And that way, at least
yeah,
half the trade you've got a 10 or 20% trade. And a lot of times your entry won't come back, or it will start to show weakness and you'll get out before that. But at least you have a plan, and just work it out from there. And that'll keep you in the trade, it'll kind of protect you a little bit. I know the big thing, and I've learned it from you a little bit, because I don't worry about it as much as most people. Um, for two reasons. I don't full port trade, so I'm really diligent in my sizing, and I got a little
yeah,
size. So those two things, I mean, I can have some positions. But a lot of people are still worried about that. So if you're worried about if 5 grand is too big of your account, then you got to start with 500. It's just what it is.
yeah.
But your $500 in PCT is now 8 or 9, and
Right.
that's not a good trade on the day. That's a good trade. Like if that was a 3 year trade, that would be a good trade. And I think a lot of people have lost sight of that. That 10 to 20% a year is great. So if you're doing that on a trade in 3 weeks or 4 weeks or 4 minutes, it's a very good trade.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the thing I'll say too with these stocks, the misconception sometimes because I read flow is that those are options to buy, and I don't think that options on stocks under $5 are really worth your time. Um, it's because for one thing, a lot of them have these $5 increments. They can be hard to get out of. I mean, especially in the money, um, very unfavorable Greeks on those, and if you're going to have them, then you need a sizable share position to complement it, because that's what the whales are doing. So they're not just buying wolf options to just buy options. Um, they're in that, they've been in that, they're already green on that. So I mean, so there's so much going on there that I don't think, like, so you want to kind of hop in lightly. You're unsure about options. Oh, I'll buy this $9 Rivian out of the money call. Uh, I mean, you're just lighting $9 on fire, and you're not learning anything. So, um, yeah, there's trades that are really good for shares, pretty much shares only. There's some that are good for combo trades, and then there's some that are pretty much options only, unless you've been in it for a while. Ask questions about that. I'm happy to talk about that anytime. But yeah, don't just hop into options where it's the spread is like it's $5 and 15 is the ask, and you buy it for 10. That's pretty hard to get out of. You need the bid to go to 15 to get out of that. So that can be tricky if the volume's not there, especially.
Yeah, I was talking shares on my strategy. Just want to fully put that out there, people, because
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
if you
yeah,
sell half and keep half your options, you're probably getting washed around and decayed, and it's coming back real quick. Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I keep I'll use it forever because you kind of figure out where you learn. But when I was just messing with options a little bit, basically because the market wasn't moving that much, that riot still stands out to me where I just made more on the share side than I did the options. Like I didn't get the same move even, and the stock's moving until it got in the money, and it was right around
Yeah.
five. It was right at 5 or 5.50. I forget which one we were playing there. Um, but yeah, it just didn't work the same, and like shares are so much more stress free in that environment because that option if time runs out on you, then it's just going to lose the value that you had to pay for, and you really need like for like moves. So I mean, instead of spending $50 on an option, spend $50 on shares in that environment, and then you have time. The wolf
Yeah.
one, I already forgot about that because I was a little upset about that, to be honest with you. And then watching how it played out, like over and over again, like that. You're trying to make more, but you're not giving yourself enough time to make anything. And that's really how I feel about a lot of the option plays on stuff that I play. Uh, I mean, I understand when you get on Lily and when MSTR was way up there, like you're not buying. I'm not buying a big share position, so options kind of make a little more sense. Um,
Yeah.
but the names that you named, don't buy if just because we're talking about PSNY 1.5 and 2 strikes. It's because we're trying to see how much range it has or how far out they are. The dates are almost more
Yeah.
important than the strike price in that regard. Don't be buying those strikes, people. Buy shares. Just try. That's where you try shares out.
Yeah, absolutely. And so yeah, options, the low IV stuff that, 2% on John Deere, massive win in options, it's 2%. And, shares, it's, you can't really day trade moves like that. I mean, it's seven, $7 a share on a almost $400 stock. Um, you know, you want $7, you can buy a DE share when it's on the pivot.
Yeah.
That's good, but but whatever. But yeah. So um, yeah, I'm very different from the Twitter option people in that regard because I do take notice of and study share construction, the Greeks on the options, all of that, and I study Greeks in a very kind of a stripped down way. Um, you can turn the Greeks into like you know graduate level calculus if you want to get that far into it. But in terms of what we're trying to do, hop in and out. Um, it's that I'm looking for a direction and a contract that's going to have a favorable move based on that direction, and it's that simple. It's like with the multi-leg thing. I don't really get into some of the more complex multi-leg trades where you're just tying yourself into knots and you're basically ensuring like I'm well I'm not likely going to lose very much money. I'm not going to make very much money either, and there's a lot of mental capital going into building this position and figuring out how to unwind it to get myself out of it. And that's how a lot of those multi-leg trades are. So I do hedges, and I think people have been asking about that. And it just depends on the stock. I mean, essentially, crypto, like something that can just tank 10% overnight on you, you do want to be hedged a little bit. But overall, I'm looking for one direction. I'm looking to hop in and out.
Yeah, see green, take green over there. I think that rule applies more to your side than my side. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
as just a friendly reminder for people, and um, yeah. Let's move on. I know we're trying to keep this time constraint today. Let's move on to the boring stuff. You got anything over there?
Yeah, so I think um, silver is potentially about to make the move I've been talking about for a while. And I mean, it had a massive day on Friday, but 36 plus is starting to look likely. Silver does kind of tend to lag behind gold. Gold is just kind of I don't know, full throttle, caught the algo, whatever you want to say. Gold does not look like it's stopping anytime soon. So I mean, so those two look very strong, and so then um, just there's still some distressed miners that have a lot of room to the upside that I think you can plan around. The only thing you have to do is you have to be aware that those moves can be slow. They can take some time. You can watch silver pop way up to the upside. Your gold miner goes up 1%, but it's kind of like trickle then a flood. So I think there's a lot of opportunities in those miners, and I think we do a pretty good job choosing those.
Nice. Yeah, no, I've noticed a couple of them. The one that you talked about last week, and then HL kind of already moving just in general. What I pay attention to over there is the country of origin. Um,
Yeah.
that seems to affect those charts a little bit also, but yeah, no, another good small sector. Um, that's supposed to wasn't that supposed to be a battery play? Wasn't that the original thesis on silver? Is it's needed in batteries?
uh, yeah, yes, batteries, lots of other tech production, and so yeah, that's part of it for sure.
So
Um,
oil's kind of a in a lull. Good time to add things as they pull back, and um,
yeah,
natural gas is just undecided at this point, is what it seems like.
it is. I mean, yeah, it's it didn't break down at $2, so that's good. But it can park here for a while. Yeah, oil under 70 is just not gonna last. I don't think. A lot of reactions to world events and demand out of China and things like that are kind of depressing prices there. But I still think it's kind of in that. I mean, to me, it's like like 72 to 85, something like that. And then looking for that move above 90. That's kind of my thinking on oil. But yeah, they definitely. I talk about kicking the can down the road. They're out to March and June now on the oil stock, so I think that should be your thinking. And if I've said to buy time forever on oil. So even if you bought options that are November or January, you do have an opportunity. They're still worth something, and you can roll those if you want to. But yeah, there's not a sector for weeklies.
No, not in oil at all. Um, my environment out here in the oil is they're finally figuring out that the price of oil doesn't matter. It's mostly taxes that keep our gas at $4 a gallon out here.
Right, right.
So it's an interesting time in that. And then uranium, last one I'd like to touch base on. We got a pop last week. It's hard to find news on why. Maybe just basic relief in the charts, but I think that's still a winner, especially as
Yeah, it's
the clean effect still, as it makes its transformation to clean energy.
yeah, it's sitting at $80, and I think reasonably is going to go over 100 this next move up. It had a very explosive move, as we know, at the end of last year and into January, and then you know pulled back after that. But yeah, it's kind of setting back up again, and your major stocks have been fine. CCJ as an example is just accumulating right now. So yeah, I do like that too.
Nice, nice. I lied. I got one more aluminum. The AA sub 30 ad's been paying really good over here. That little 10% move inside that channel back to that 32. But are we going to break out on that chart, or
Uh,
is
I
aluminum
I think so. I mean,
is aluminum and the steel along with the steel kind of in a good spot?
it's more with the copper. It's more with copper, and so yeah, copper bounced pretty hard off $4. Did back again, didn't even touch four, and it took back off. So yes, I think you're going to see copper at 450 plus. That's going to send aluminum probably over 240, 245. and it's 228 right now. So the comparable the move in those charts, you're looking at probably 15% in AA, and then some better than that, some a little worse than that. But that's sort of my thinking, and why I'm buying it. It's looking for that move. Yeah, I've been DCA on AA every week for pretty long time now.
Yeah, I just have 4 or 5 charts and across the board over there. You know, 1 or 2 per
Yeah.
sector, or not sector, I guess 1 or 2 per commodity that really stand out. And they're not in bad spots. I'm with you on the miners, but just in general, that the thesis is usually there before the flow and the result on the chart. So
Yeah.
um, I like that DCA. Most of those boring plays. Move on to SPY here. Back up to 560. I don't know where we were. How far did we go last week? Oh no, we stayed. We were just wrong last week, P. But
Yeah. Yeah.
you get a full retrace of a $20 candle. I don't have a problem being wrong. It's almost a $30 candle on SPY. That's just not normal. But totally shows the just the range bound we're in. Um, all but what
I
one all but one candle of the last 8 have been in this range that this last
Right.
candle covered. So I mean, you're just 2 months consolidation. Um, Probably killing some people trying to pick a direction, to be honest.
Yeah, I will say that this I said that this had similarities to a bear market rally. I didn't say that to mean that I think we're in a bear market, but that some of these violent moves up uh, can't exactly be trusted for continuation, and that's kind of it's kind of how they get you. I mean, you know things pop back up, all time highs within reach, and you enter up there. Especially in options, all the IVs elevated, and they'll just bleed you out. So you just have to be really careful about that. And so I'm not. I don't think there's a reason really to be bearish, but they can punish you sideways when you make a move like this. So that's kind of the main thing I'm mindful of.
Yeah, no, I pointed out last week just from a TA perspective that not touching this 50 the last time we did that was 2020. I almost want to go out on a limb. I mean, the clock is short, but I think we touched the 50 before the year's over.
Yeah,
I really do, and that's gonna still seem like the sky is falling to people, or the 50 catches up and we stay flat. I'm with you. I don't see. I My thesis now. I mean, it's pretty simple that in we're gonna get the rates. We'll probably take a week off and get washed for another week, and then the market does start to make a move. But it's going to be broadening. So SPY is going to look flat, and things that got left behind on the last move are going to get picked up. We have a
yeah,
lot that's left in the dirt. Um, I forgot what it was, but it was pretty much like most of the small caps are trading way under valuation, and then most of the large caps on S&P are like 18% or 18 forward revenue. So I mean that's not norm. Normally, like a bullish market or an overextended market would be in the 30s and 40s. So we're like halfway where we should be on
yeah,
on the comeback, in my opinion. That doesn't mean SPY is going to be 1100. That just means there's a lot of things that doesn't move SPY that's going to lift the market, or make the market seem like it's having a really good day if SPY doesn't do as much. Which
yeah,
that's kind of the standard. That's how it should move. That's where we should be. You should get larger moves in the small caps and smaller moves in the big caps, and a continuous move in the ETFs. So,
yes.
um, yeah, I think a little bit more pain, but we're gonna find those 20 percenters like we do every day, because the broadening will probably start before the leveling out of SPY. That's what I got.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And so on the option side, there still just isn't that complement to that December 500p, and we're starting to get pretty close to that contract getting in some trouble as far as the decay goes. But it's been into the 300s, and it goes as high as $1,200-$1,300 twice now, just when we have these pullbacks. So, but it doesn't. I just don't see. I mean, at this point, yeah, I got to see like 540 and 520, and that's just not really that's not really out there. There isn't some big position being built there, so um, it's why you don't get the follow through to the downside, in my opinion. Um, yeah.
Yeah,
So as
but
far as
what
levels,
what's your number for that to be well, I guess time and number for that to be profitable, for that to be a good trade for them. Like, do we got to get to 520 like October 10th, or do we got to get to like 510 October 10th? Or
well,
you know
if
what I
on
mean?
October 10th, yeah, yeah, if we're back under 540 by October 10th,
They're good.
they're fine, and they can, yeah,
Okay.
and then they can add the complement to it, and then we flush under 520, and then they probably get out. I don't think they're trying to take that in the money, in my opinion, um, but yeah, I mean, it still dominates the open interest. They're just going ask side, bid side, back and forth on it. But yeah, it's definitely September has to have a pretty sour close to it, and then some follow through into October for that contract to be relevant by then, in my opinion.
There you go. I mean, that's the plan. I'm assuming for them is not to take it all the way to it.
Yeah, and it's and they're not all in on that side, but that's their chosen hedge. That and whatever the SPX equivalent of that is, I
Yeah,
think.
they could they could very well be protecting just share positions, profit and share positions as well.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean that. I mean that makes a little bit of sense. Tough up here is always on the top end. But I'm gonna go 565, 69, which would be all time high. Just because they like to say it on the news. I think we get that tap one of those days. Like you said earlier, you get the Dow Jones has had the best day in 4 months, and it's at its worst day in 6 months. It like makes no sense sometimes.
Yeah.
They like to use that. And then 549.74 on the downside. So about a $15 bar this week. I still think the it's confused a little bit, so we'll have violent days in both directions.
Yeah, I like that. So I got 549.84 to the downside,
10 cents.
and
Love it.
I got 564.34 to the upside.
We are that's the closest we've been in a while, P.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, we're under a buck on the no, we're a buck and buck 35 on the top side, 10 cents on the downside. So a very very similar view on a pretty big news event week too. So that's interesting in that regard. Um,
yeah, and no real
are
earnings to speak of either. I
yeah?
mean, there's
There's like
oh, I will
three.
say though that like, but yeah, but like I mean, these are the weeks I really love for earnings because I zero in on a couple of these, but yeah, they're not. It's not a big market story for earnings this week.
Yeah, I think there was like nobody Tuesday. There was one
Yeah,
day where there was like
yeah.
nobody. It's like, okay, we're at the end of earnings season, obviously. You down for 25 or 50 on the cut?
Oh, I think 25.
Yeah, I'm with you, and that's the
Yeah,
reason for the downside pull is
yep,
the
yeah,
pouting of not getting 50.
yeah,
Yep, that's where
yeah.
I'm at too.
They want a bigger cookie.
There, what's the Willy Wonka girl? I want it all, and I want it now.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, I'll take a cut every meeting for the next 8 meetings and be happy, even if it's
So
small.
I do want to. We'll wrap this up. I want to close real quick with Bitcoin and what I said about Bitcoin and why, and as it relates to the stocks. So I've been on this thing, and I've got you know on Twitter, like I just put it out there that I just feel like there's miners that are going to really disappoint some people because
Oh yeah.
they're already bagged in it, and it took a big hit. It's not catching the upside aggressively as Bitcoin pops back over 60.
Yeah, I'll just
And
hold it.
when it does, all the pops just get sold right off. And so
Yeah.
those were names that we were in on way early. If you bought when we did, even with this pullback, you're still up over 100% in those things. But that second leg up for them is going to be very hard. Whereas MSTR coin, much better shape, to complement Bitcoin right now. and the miners they never heard of are going to be the ones that I think do much better. So it's not going to be full send crypto for a while, in my opinion. I think, but there are going to be some good ones there.
Hey, I posted I posted 3 of them midweek, and if you bought when I posted them, you got your 10% out of every one of those charts. You did
Yeah,
better on
you
some
did.
of them.
You did out of MSTR too, by the way. That was the only one I posted
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it
So,
was the only one on the option side.
and
So,
you have to do that. You have to understand that it's going to be a rotation. I brought up the bag stock because it's easy to fucking see, and you obviously don't have $17 or had $17. I mean, I had $17 on this chart when it was $3. So
yeah,
I
yeah,
believe in that level. And if you look at this weekly and you tell me like this looks bullish, I mean, it looked like support here for most of the year, but this last month, half a month that looks bullish. You're fucking crazy. First of all, and then you're gonna go to $30. I mean, you haven't
yeah.
hit $30 since like April.
Right,
That
right.
I mean, yeah, just confused. And I think really, it's not that they don't know. It's just that's all they know, and they don't have the 20 different crypto stocks that we do, so they can't rotate. So when Bitcoin does X, they just navigate to this one. That's all they know. Whereas when Bitcoin does X for us, we look at which ones are ready. So that's I mean that's
Yeah,
the difference right there. So yeah, don't get caught up on crypto charts, and if you do, make sure it's Square, Hood, or Coin.
yep. Gotcha.
Perfect. Ready to get to work?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, like and subscribe somewhere, people.